Friends, let me start with a simple question. If you plant a thorn seed today, will you expect roses tomorrow? No. But in life, many people do exactly this. They plant poor decisions, water them with excuses, protect them with emotions, and then pray for a beautiful destiny. Friends, let me begin with a small thought. When a farmer plants mango seeds, he patiently waits for mangoes. He does not sit under the tree expecting apples, and if apples do not grow, he does not blame the weather, the soil, or destiny. He understands a simple truth: life gives back what we plant. In the same way, our choices are seeds, our habits are water, and our character is the soil. What we repeatedly do silently shapes the story of our life. Many people do not suffer because life is cruel. They suffer because they keep repeating the same mistakes, hoping that this time the ending will be different. They walk on the same broken road and are surprised when their feet hurt again. Wisdom is not about never falling. Wisdom is about learning where the stone is placed so that you do not trip over it again. Growth begins when pain becomes a teacher, not a permanent address. Another quiet struggle is trusting the world more than trusting one's own inner voice. Everyone has advice. Everyone has opinions. Everyone claims to know what is best for you. Slowly, the noise outside becomes louder than the voice inside. But your heart is not your enemy. Your conscience is not foolish. That small voice of awareness is like a lamp in a dark room. Ignoring it does not make the room brighter. It only makes the darkness feel normal. Many live their lives as if their purpose is to keep everyone comfortable, even if it means being uncomfortable themselves. They say yes when their heart says no. They smile when their soul feels tired. They adjust so much that one day they forget what their real shape was. Kindness is beautiful, but self-disrespect is not sacrifice. A bird that forgets its wings while decorating other nests will one day wonder why it cannot fly. There is also a habit of blaming destiny for everything. When something goes wrong, fate becomes the villain. When something goes right, luck becomes the hero. But responsibility quietly waits outside the door, ignored. Life is not fully in our control, but our response always is. Rain may fall without permission, but whether we learn to carry an umbrella or keep getting wet is our choice. Strength is born the day we stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" And then comes the most dangerous comfort of all, stopping growth, saying, "This is just how I am," and closing the book of improvement. But life is a river, not a photograph. If you do not move with it, it does not stop. It simply flows over you. Learning, healing, becoming better, these are not luxuries. They are necessities for the soul. Remember this gently: you are not here to live as a question mark in your own life. You are here to become an answer. You do not need to be perfect, but you do need to be aware. The moment you choose self-respect over fear, learning over excuses, and courage over comfort, something quietly shifts inside you. The world may remain the same, but you will not. And when you change, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your direction changes. And when your direction changes, your destiny slowly, respectfully follows. There is a quiet tragedy that happens in many lives, and it does not come with noise or drama. It happens slowly, politely, almost invisibly. It is the moment when a person starts trusting every voice in the world more than the voice within their own heart. From childhood, we are taught many good things: to respect elders, to listen to teachers, to learn from experience. All of this is valuable. But somewhere along the way, many forget one important lesson. You also have a teacher living inside you. That teacher is called awareness. Everyone has an opinion. One says, "Do this." Another says, "No, do that." Society has its rules. Relatives have their expectations. Friends have their suggestions. Slowly, your life becomes a meeting room where everyone is speaking, but no one is listening to the most important person, you. The inner voice does not shout. It does not argue. It does not create drama. It speaks softly, like a mother waking her child for school. If you ignore it once, it waits. If you ignore it again, it becomes quieter. And one day people say, "I don't know what I want anymore." Not because the voice disappeared, but because they stopped listening. When you stop trusting yourself, you start renting your identity to others. Your happiness depends on approval. Your confidence depends on compliments. Your peace depends on how others behave. This is a very expensive way to live because the rent is your freedom. There is a small story. A deer once saw its reflection in water and admired its beautiful horns, but it disliked its thin legs. When hunters came, the deer ran fast because of those same legs it hated. But while escaping, its beautiful horns got stuck in the branches, and that became the reason for its capture. The deer trusted its eyes more than its experience. In life too, we often reject what protects us and chase what only decorates us. Your intuition is not perfect, but it is honest. It carries the memory of your experiences, your pain, your values, your dreams. Ignoring it is like throwing away your own map and then blaming the road for being confusing. A person who does not trust themselves will always be easy to control. Today, someone's opinion will decide their career. Tomorrow, someone's criticism will decide their confidence. Slowly, their life becomes a reaction, not a creation. Trusting yourself does not mean becoming arrogant or stubborn. It means being rooted. It means listening to advice, but not selling your soul for it. It means learning from others, but not forgetting who you are. When you begin to trust your inner voice, something beautiful happens. Decisions become calmer. Regret becomes smaller. Fear becomes softer. You may still make mistakes, but they will be your mistakes, not borrowed ones. And there is dignity in that. Because a life guided from inside may walk slowly, but it walks in the right direction. There is a silent exhaustion that does not come from physical work, but from emotional overwork. It is the tiredness of constantly trying to keep everyone happy. Many people believe that love is proven by sacrifice, that respect is earned by adjustment, and that acceptance is achieved by saying yes to everything. Slowly, life becomes a long list of other people's expectations, and their own heart becomes the last item on that list. From a distance, such a person looks kind, patient, and generous. But inside, something slowly shrinks. Every time they ignore their own feelings to protect someone else's comfort, a small piece of their self-respect steps back. They smile, but the smile becomes lighter. They speak, but the voice becomes softer. They exist, but they stop feeling fully alive. There is a difference between kindness and self-erasure. Kindness comes from strength. Self-erasure comes from fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being rejected, fear of being called selfish. So they carry burdens that were never meant to be theirs and call it love. But the heart was not designed to be a storage room for unspoken pain. Imagine a well that only gives water but is never filled. For some time, it will continue to serve others. But one day, it will only offer dust. In the same way, a person who keeps giving without receiving, understanding slowly dries from within. When you live only to please others, your identity becomes flexible like clay in everyone's hands. Today you are what your family wants. Tomorrow you are what society approves. The day after you are what someone else demands. And one quiet night you sit alone and ask, "Who am I?" when no one is watching. The most painful betrayal is not when others misuse you. It is when you teach them that your boundaries do not matter. Saying no is not cruelty, it is clarity. Choosing yourself is not selfishness, it is survival. Even the sun does not shine for one house only. It rises for the world, but it also sets for rest. If the sun tried to please everyone forever, there would be no night, no balance, no renewal. Relationships should be bridges, not cages. Love should be a place where you breathe deeper, not where you hold your breath. When you begin to respect your own limits, people may feel uncomfortable at first. Some will call you changed, some will call you difficult, but what they really mean is you are no longer easy to use. And that is not a flaw, that is growth. The moment you stop living for applause, you start living with peace. The moment you stop begging for acceptance, you start attracting respect. And the moment you choose your inner truth over outer approval, your heart becomes lighter, your steps become steadier, and your life becomes your own again. Not perfect, not problem-free, but honest, and honesty is the first form of freedom. Many people go through life blaming fate for everything. They wake up, look around, and say, "Why is life so unfair?" When relationships fail, they blame others. When opportunities are missed, they blame timing. When mistakes happen, they blame luck. Slowly, life becomes a series of complaints, and the person becomes a prisoner of circumstances they do not control. The world outside may be unpredictable, but the world inside can always be chosen. The difference between a life that stagnates and a life that flourishes is not luck. It is responsibility. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a form of freedom. Because when you take responsibility for your actions, you stop being a victim. When you stop blaming destiny, you start shaping your destiny. Imagine a young woman who constantly says, "I failed because I was born in the wrong family," or "I did not get this job because fate is cruel." In her mind, life is a movie in which she has no role, only a seat in the audience. And the tragedy is that she claps at someone else's plot while her own script waits for her pen. Life will always hand us cards we do not expect. Some will be good, some will be challenging, and some will seem downright unfair. But the measure of a person is not the hand they are dealt, it is how they play it. There is a story of a small boat caught in a storm. The fisherman could blame the wind, the waves, or even the ocean itself. Or he could adjust the sails, hold the oars steady, and navigate to safety. The storm does not stop because he complains, but his survival depends on his response. Blaming the world is easy. Taking responsibility is hard. But freedom always lives on the hard side of the road. When a woman takes responsibility for her choices, she stops waiting for apologies, explanations, or luck. She stops seeking permission to live fully. Her power comes quietly, not from yelling or proving, but from the steady decision to own her life. She realizes that destiny is not something to wait for, it is something to create. The subtle tragedy of refusing responsibility is that it makes time feel like an enemy. Days pass, opportunities are lost, lessons are ignored, and then one day the person looks back and wonders why life is not different. Never realizing that the change was never going to come from outside, it could only come from within. Strength, courage, and dignity grow from taking responsibility. Even when it is uncomfortable, the world may continue to test, challenge, and confuse. Circumstances may never be perfect. But a woman who chooses to act consciously, who chooses to own her actions, begins to rise above the chaos. She may stumble, she may fall, but she will never be a prisoner of excuses. Ultimately, growth begins when we stop blaming life and start guiding ourselves. The moment you replace "why me" with "what can I do now?" something quietly shifts inside. Life may remain unpredictable, but your inner world becomes steady. And when the inner world is steady, the storms outside cannot shake it. There is a quiet danger in stopping growth. It does not announce itself. It does not come with noise or alarms. It begins with a single thought. This is who I am. This is enough. Slowly, that thought becomes a habit. Learning stops. Curiosity fades. Dreams shrink. Life, which was meant to be an adventure, becomes a routine. The soul begins to feel heavy, not because the world is cruel, but because it is not being fed with new experiences, new knowledge, and new challenges. Many people confuse comfort with peace. They say, "I am happy with what I have," and think that contentment means no need to grow. But life is a river, not a photograph. A river flows, changes, and carves new paths. If you do not move with it, it flows over you, and slowly you are left behind. Knowledge, skill, emotional strength, even spirituality, these are not luxuries. They are necessities for the mind, the heart, and the soul. When you stop learning, the mind becomes narrow. When you stop dreaming, the heart becomes small. And when the heart becomes small, even happiness feels limited. There is a story of a tree planted in a courtyard. It grew a little, reached the ceiling, and stopped. Its roots did not grow deeper. Its branches did not reach for sunlight. People admired it, thinking it was fine. But when a storm came, the tree fell easily because it had never strengthened itself. Growth is protection. Growth is resilience. Growth is the silent preparation for the storms of life. Those who stop growing may feel safe for a time, but they are walking on fragile ground. Some people fear growth because it requires effort, change, and discomfort. Learning something new may be hard. Facing your own weaknesses may be uncomfortable. Changing habits may feel painful. But the pain of growth is temporary. The pain of stagnation is lifelong. A life that refuses to evolve quietly fills with regret. The day comes when you look back and realize that opportunities were ignored. Talents were wasted, and time was allowed to pass without purpose. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of yourself. It is about peeling away ignorance, fear, and doubt to reveal the person you are capable of being. Every book you read, every skill you learn, every challenge you face, every mistake you reflect on, these are bricks. And slowly, they build a strong, steady foundation for a life that can withstand disappointment, failure, and uncertainty. The moment you commit to growth, your perspective changes. Setbacks are no longer disasters, they are lessons. Criticism is no longer painful, it is guidance. Fear no longer stops you, it becomes a teacher. A life that grows may not be perfect, but it is alive. And life that is alive is meaningful. Remember this quietly. If you stop learning, the world does not stop changing. Time does not wait, experiences do not pause. The only way to live fully is to keep moving inward and outward, expanding knowledge, deepening understanding, stretching courage, and nurturing the heart. Growth is the way we honor the life we have been given. Growth is the way we create a life that is not just survived, but truly lived. Dear sisters, you are not created to beg for love. You are created to radiate strength. You are not designed to survive silently. You are designed to stand consciously. The moment you choose self-respect over fear, clarity over confusion, growth over comfort, that moment life changes. Not because the world becomes kinder, but because you become wiser. And a wise woman does not chase happiness. She becomes the place where happiness lives. Thank you.